So right now I'm going to discuss glycolipids and how to classify them. So I'm going to draw a diagram that should hopefully help in some ways. So glycolipids are a combination of ceramide plus, so this is ceramide plus a sugar. Just to keep that in mind. So if the sugar, our first question is the sugar a monosaccharide or polysaccharide? So let's see, so if we have sugar mono, sugar poly, so we have, excuse me, we have these lines. So if let's start off with if it's a monosaccharide. So it can be either a glucose or a galactose. Well, actually, let's backtrack a little. So if it's a monosaccharide, it's going to be called a cerebroside. Cerebroside. And if the sugar is a galactose, versus a glucose, galactose, so this is type of sugar. It's going to be called either a galactose cerebroside or so I'm just going to write them on the same line, galactocerebroside or a glucocerebroside. So this is for galactose and this is for glucose. Then if it's a galactose cerebroside, we can ask another question. Any sulfate group? If there is, so if the answer is yes, so if there's any sulfate group, if the answer is yes, then it's going to be called a sulfatide. And this is going to have a negative charge, whereas our galactose cerebrosides and glucocerebrosides without the sulfatide group are going to be neutral. And this one is going to be neutral too. I had and I'm referring to physiological pH. So if the sugar is a polysaccharide, we're going to have something a little bit different. So if the sugar is a polysaccharide, it's going to be called a globoside if it's if only neutral sugars are present. So sugar is polysaccharide. Then we ask. So then we have another arrow asking if neutral or if negative. Neutral, negative. If it's, so it's going to look like that. If it's neutral, it's going to be called a ganglioside, a globoside. And it's going to be called a ganglioside if it has negative sugars. So this is called a globoside. And this is called a ganglioside. So the ganglioside usually contains a 9-carbon sugar. 9-carbon sugar called NANA or sialic acid. NANA is short for N-acetylneuramic acid. Quite a mouthful. So this contains 9-carbon sugar called NANA, and these are the final names for all of our glycolipids. Hopefully that didn't get too confusing. So I'll go over it right now. Maybe even go backwards and see if we can make sense out of it. So